If your puppy is showing those signs, get them to your nearest emergency room as soon as possible. For this video, I'm going to tell you guys my experience with aspiration pneumonia and my Shih Tzu puppies that I was whelping. The puppies, they were born 11 days ago. They were all gaining weight. Everything was good. And today, this afternoon, one of the puppies, which was the only boy in the litter, it was 3 puppies, 2 girls and 1 boy. One of the boys, or the boy in the litter, he started crying this afternoon and he wouldn't stop crying. There was nothing that I could do to console him. So I examined him, and upon the initial examination, what I found was he cried when I picked him up. And as soon as I picked him up, he started crying even more, even louder. I picked him up and I noticed that his gums were white and pale, and his lips were pale as well. So I put him on the oxygen concentrator that I have, and also the incubator. So I placed him on oxygen, and I increased the strength of the oxygen. So he was getting pure oxygen, and he was doing a little bit better. I called the owners and they didn't answer, and so I shot them a text and I told them that the male was having difficulty breathing, and I think that we should take him to the nearest emergency room. So I was waiting to get his oxygen levels up while I was also waiting for them to contact me back, and I took it upon myself to take the puppy to the emergency room. So on my way over there, it's about a 15-minute drive up the road. On my way over there, the puppy ended up crying, doing the same thing. He quieted down a little bit, but he ended up crying a little bit, couldn't get comfortable. He had his neck extended outwards, and he was starting to gasp for air because the oxygen that I gave him, he needed more. So he ended up going white again on the way over to the emergency room, and I ended up giving him CPR in the car as I was driving over there. So I'm giving him CPR, he's hanging on, and I rush him inside the emergency room and they take him back. At this point, the owner, she is on her way, and I'm waiting in the waiting room area for about an hour or so, and the puppy was on oxygen back when they were doing the initial testing. And turns out they did an x-ray on the puppy, and the puppy had some cloudiness that affected his right lung, and it was consistent with aspiration. So at some point this afternoon, he aspirated while he was nursing, and it was something that I didn't notice because the puppy was nursing fine, and then all of a sudden he just started crying. The doctor came in to speak to us, and the doctor ended up bringing the x-ray, and he told us that the x-ray showed his right lung had a little bit of cloudiness to it. So it wasn't covering the whole lung completely, but the x-ray did show that the right lung did have some fluid in it. And he had said that the puppy did aspirate at some point this afternoon. The puppy didn't have any sort of cleft palate, cleft lip, thing like that. It's just something that he said that aspiration with young puppies like this is unfortunately very common, especially in the smushed face breeds, pugs, Frenchies, Shih Tzus, just because of their brachycephalic. So aspiration is definitely more at risk for them than the other breed of puppy. So he said at some point this puppy, as it was nursing, it inhaled the milk, and he said the way that the puppy's lungs are structured, you have the trachea down here, and then you have the trachea, and then it goes and branches off to the lungs. Well, when the puppy's nursing and when they're laying down, how aspiration works is the right lung has a passageway that passes through it first, and then it'll go into the left lung. So during doing whelping, what I've seen is anytime a puppy does aspirate, it always happens in the right lung first, because the way that the trachea ends at the start of the lungs, it always goes to the right first, and then it continues on into the left lung. So that is why in aspiration pneumonia, when you see, you'll notice that the right lung is always affected first because of the way the lungs are in the newborn puppy. So it always goes on that on-ramp, so to speak, to that right lung, and then it'll, go into the left lung a little more further down. He had said that this probably didn't happen last night, because if it did happen last night, the puppy wouldn't have made it to this afternoon. So I noticed that, he was crying earlier this afternoon, and within a matter of 3 or 4 hours, he said that the puppy was back in the oxygen chamber. He was pink, and then he came to talk to us, and the puppy ended up passing away while he was at the emergency vet in the oxygen chamber that they had for him. So, the puppy, he ended up just having a silent aspiration. And I wanted to come on here and tell you guys that if you do have a puppy that you think has aspirated, get him to an emergency room as soon as possible, because aspiration infection can definitely happen and take over a puppy within hours if you don't have the proper equipment, such as the oxygen machine. If you don't know how to do CPR, if you don't have the medication, it can definitely overtake a young puppy, one that doesn't know how to properly swallow and breathe yet. Unfortunately in this case, the puppy, inhaled some milk. He's too young right now to cough it up. So unfortunately he just inhaled it, and it wasn't anything that nobody did wrong. The vet said it just happens sometimes in young puppies, just because their respiratory systems are so young. They don't know how to cough. If you and I end up choking on some water, we can cough it up, but these young puppies, they can't, especially if they're in a laying down horizontal position and they're trying to cough something up. More than likely they're going to inhale, what they swallowed. So the vet did say that even if we did try everything we could to save this little puppy, he said the survival rate for him was at least 50% than when we brought him in, because aspiration pneumonia definitely takes over immediately after the puppy inhales formula wrong or aspirates on anything. So you have the aspiration, and then the pneumonia develops later. But with this puppy being only 11 days old, it was fine last night. It wasn't crying this morning, so it happened this afternoon, and within the matter of 3 or 4 hours, the puppy, passed away. So that shows how serious and how fast this can happen. So if you are whelping puppies and you don't know what to look for, it's consistent crying. They're gasping for air. So you'll notice that their chest is having really difficulties taking in air, and they have shortness of breath. Sometimes they'll even have slow labored breathing as well. So you want to watch out for that. And then of course, another giveaway is the white gums and the white tongue. If your puppy is showing those signs, get them to your nearest emergency room as soon as possible. Don't even wait to make an appointment with your vet, because it might be too late. Depending on how old your puppy is, some puppies can be saved, depending if they are old enough. So if they are closer to 8 weeks, they can definitely survive. I saved a litter of 6 puppies that did aspirate as well, from somebody else that was taking care of them. They brought it in, and they were 6 weeks old, but with round of medications, oxygen nebulization treatments, things like that, I was able to save all 6 puppies. However, with this puppy, since this puppy was only 11 days old, it doesn't have the physical capacities to bring in oxygen to its body and fight off any type of infection. So the doctor said that puppy definitely would have gone either way tonight if it didn't, pass away over there at the vet. So I just wanted to jump on here and share my experience with this Shih Tzu puppy. The owner was obviously very sad, very distraught. She's a boy mom, so she was wanting to keep this one, but it's one of those things that it happens in whelping, and unfortunately a lot of people don't talk about it, but that's why I want to educate you guys, to have you guys see my experience, what I go through. I'm not perfect, but I'll try everything I can to save these little puppies, or to at least get them medical attention. And sometimes, there's only so much you can do, and it's out of your hands. Unfortunately with this little guy, no matter what I did, he aspirated and his time was ticking, and he died peacefully in the oxygen chamber at the emergency vet, under their care. So there's nobody to blame here, because accidents do happen. And if you are whelping puppies, please just watch them, supervise them, do all you can, especially when you're doing the mush transition, because a lot of puppies do aspirate when they are learning how to eat puppy mush as well. So definitely watch them, keep an eye on them. Don't let them, take in too much, because they're still learning how to chew. But aspiration pneumonia is a real thing. It happens. It's very, sudden. And if if you see that your puppies are showing the signs that I described based off of my experience, take the puppy to the emergency vet as soon as possible to get an x-ray done, so you guys can further evaluate what your next steps are as far as the care and palliative care if the puppy isn't going to make it. So hope this was helpful. If you guys have any questions, leave it in the comments below, and I'll see you on the next video.